Hey guys, what's up? It's Schlaw coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schlaw. And today I think is a continuation of the theme that I've been experiencing for a while now of just kind of not really feeling like a lot is going on with me mentally. It's a it's a stranger state. I'm in a stranger place. It's kind of confusing because there was obviously a ton of hype earlier in the beginning of this series. I was very hyper enthusiastic and ready for the future. And now it's just, I don't know. Now we're here and not much is going on. And I just think, I don't know. I maybe I'm in a place of reflection right now. Maybe that's fine. You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what I do and what I am still on the theme of trying to navigate is how do I completely overhaul myself to become the better version that I want to become. I don't know if it's been obvious or not from watching the videos up until now, but I'm just realizing, really how much of a constant negative or a cynical kind of attitude that I have, and just how deep that runs with myself for some reason. I'm not sure why I feel this way, but it's really not good. It's not a good thing. And I just need to try to get a handle on it, I think. I think it's really important for me to try to attempt now to put more effort into being better in that way. I still just get very uncomfortable very easily. I worry about things a lot, but that needs to change, and I guess I'm just wondering how that changes. How does that change without completely just changing me as a person? I'm not really sure. But maybe that's okay. I mean, if it's for the better, I just want to make sure that it's for the better and I'm not doing anything questionable to myself. But I suppose if everything's all good, then it would be fairly obvious that it would be a good overall decision and situation. But yeah, just trying to figure out what's going on and why and how to transmute a lot of these thoughts to just try to live a happier life, because I think it's possible. I've been afforded a brain with that cognitive capacity. It's just that it's been overrun by so much restlessness that I haven't been able to get there. But we're really hitting a point where I think things could change for the better. I do. I think that with the right intention, if I can finally just live with a sense of confidence. I'm always so worried about machinery not working, computers not working, cars not working. I've always just been like that. And it's something I assume a lot of people may not think much about, honestly, but it's always on my mind. And I think that is it's almost a defining feature of me. And now it does end up being a good thing because I take really good care of my stuff. As a result of that mindset, I really take care of my things. And that's super important, obviously, with the economy how it is. But it's not worth it because it causes a lot of worry. It causes a lot of negative stress on my mind. And it's strange because I have to think about how to transmute that. And how do you take those thoughts and instead be thinking about positive things? Do I just think in my head over and over again, I love how much my car's always working, my stuff always works? And then I obsessively thinking like that? Because you notice that's the interesting thing is you have anxiety. You have people who have nervous breakdowns and spiral. But what about the opposite? What about people who are just overwhelmed and constantly obsessively thinking about good things happening to them? What even is the term for that? That's what I'm saying. If I have, I think, a potential rare concoction of somebody who has that anxious mind, but for some reason I'd have just enough kind of cognizance that I may be able to push it into a higher form. I may be able to use that revolving door of negativity and transform it into a revolving door of good thoughts, which is rare. I think typically people with the restless minds end up getting caught in negativity, and there's a lot of deep reprogramming that needs to be done. Because even on this show, a lot of times I've told y'all my stories and it's been a sob story. And that just doesn't make sense. And I think maybe it starts by focusing on the good and talking about the good things in life, as opposed to focusing on the bad. Maybe a gentle transmutation. That was one of my thoughts earlier. But it's such an interesting thing to think about. I mean, imagine what would that feel like to obsessively think that everything's great constantly? I mean, it totally changes things. And I think in a lot of ways this has been a gradual process. I don't know that this has happened overnight. Like I said, I reached a sort of breaking point. And now I'm where I'm at now, where I'm finally deciding to revisit some of these concepts because I think there's merit to talking about them. Or not talking, well, I think there's merit to talking about them, but that's not why I'm revisiting. I'm revisiting them because I hit such a breaking point, and now I'm wishing I had really put in effort to do this sooner, but alas, I did not. But we are going to try to do that now. We're going to attempt to change things for the better. And I think things are up. I mean, it's not like I have that much to be frustrated with. You know, it's really, when you think about life and how right things have went, and I just don't know. I mean, it's crazy to think about that, but to have that mindset. The thing I worry about, and I've already said this, but I'll repeat it, is when it comes to content like this, a lot of people like the pain, and they like hearing that because it validates people's own misery. People love that content where you get into negativity because it validates their own misery. People don't like it when there's a suggestion made that implies that there could be a way to be happy, and they're not. It makes people deeply uncomfortable. So there's a comfort in content that has a tone of misery. There's a comfort in that for people. And so I've thought about it with the channel, but I don't know. I think at the same time, though, this content is going to be me. It's supposed to be some kind of a showcase or documentation of myself, as well as just interesting various ideas and concepts that I've came up with over time and want to document and introduce publicly. It's that too. It's not just what I just said. I see it as a community where I could bring stuff up and then conversation could be had about it. And I see it as the only path for me to reach my social fulfillment, because it would have to be through a medium like that. I don't think one person, whether it's a friend, relationship, family member, would ever be able to satisfy me. This is my shot at that. This is my ability to create for myself a very happy life. Because I would obviously I love speaking for a career. So things are up. I mean, there's no reason for me to be worried about things. Things will work out. They already have. My worries have been so much worse than reality for a long time now. And that's why it's draining and frustrating. And I just think that is kind of snapping me out of it and making me realize what I need to realize. Because none of the bad stuff happened. So why would I think that way? I know we've talked about this a lot before, so forgive me. The content's been a bit dry, but I've been kind of dry. I felt like I really wanted to have this turning over moment, and I haven't really acted on it completely yet. I'm still reacting negatively to certain things. I'm not sunshine and rainbows all the time. And I said I wanted to be. So I feel like we're at a point where I don't have a lot of substance. I feel somewhat hollowed out for some reason, which is a strange feeling for me. And I've wondered if that is just a matter of fact, that I kind of have my life together now. I'm in a solid routine. I still think I could be experiencing health benefits from finally eating a protein sufficient diet, cutting out a lot of sugar, because my weekly sugar intake probably plummeted. I mean, I used to indulge in dessert probably daily. Probably. And if not dessert directly, it would have been indirectly, like white pasta, a lot of white pasta. Or other things, like, that even if it's not dessert, it still has a high sugar impact. So I wonder if there's still benefits going on with sleep. I had been getting lazy for a while. Honestly, my bedtime was still more consistent than most people, but it was not as consistent as it could be. I think it was probably within an hour. But for the past 2 weeks, it has been very consistent. It's definitely been it's probably been within 20 minutes for 2 weeks straight. I mean, maybe it's been within 30. But definitely we're doing very good. It's very consistent, and I'm proud of that because I was doing that for a period of time. I had a really consistent bedtime, and then for some reason I just couldn't anymore. Like, I just stopped. Like, I just started getting lazy about it. And then it was a little bit inconsistent, but like I said, it wasn't horrible. It was just, but now we pretty much have it down to just about as consistent as humanly possible. And I'm not even using an alarm anymore to wake up. So those benefits take time, but I think they matter, and while I still believe I deal with depressive symptoms, particularly when it comes to tidying up my room, doing certain responsibility type of things in my house. I'm not quite there yet. I've been wanting to organize my room, and I'm still not getting to it. So I would say I still feel a feeling of a depressive state to an extent, but it's lesser than it was a year ago. It's lesser, and at least for the past 2 weeks, on a daily basis, I don't think there's been that much of a depressive symptom. I'm getting a lot of hours. I have a good productive outlet. And like I said, I've been waking up, no alarm, getting out of bed relatively quickly and easily. The way it was before the past 2 weeks, I would actually struggle to get out of bed some days. And I think that's interesting. And I really wonder if it has to do with the fact that I was being lazy with the bedtime. Because I was. I mean, I still was being intelligent. I wasn't doing any crazy. Like I said, it was still probably within an hour variation over the course of 2 months. So still, a million times better than most people. But that's not what we're doing. We're going for what is the best possible outcome. And I'm just noticing that since I've been having a religious commitment to bedtime, it seems like I'm waking up and I'm happy to get out of bed. Like, I'm not stuck in bed, whereas there were days when I would have to use I didn't have to use the alarm, but I did. And I would use that alarm and I would still not want to get out of bed. So the whole thing didn't make any sense. And honestly, with what I know now about sleep, how really using an alarm does not make any sense. I mean, you should probably have one. I still do, actually. I think it's on. I've just started waking up earlier than it goes off. I don't really know what happened, but again, when I locked down the consistency, I think things are just working better. I don't know how else to explain it. So I've been pretty happy about that, because that's something that I think a lot of people, myself included, have a hard time with. And I don't know if this is going to last, because it's happened before where there was a time where, for a week, I was able to wake up and just get straight out of bed and it felt great. But then, that eventually stopped, and then I had a few months where it wasn't like that. Now it's back again to where I wake up, I get out of bed, I'm not just laying there. And it's a very good feeling, and I know it's a feeling a lot of people don't have, and maybe if they do have it, it's a rush. I'm never in a rush. You know what I mean? I wake up so early, and I'm going to work so early that if I really am never going to be late. It's basically completely impossible. So it's completely impossible for me to be late, and so I'm not in a rush at all. So it's a motivation to wake up just from a positive state. It's just a state of, I'm awake, I want to get out of bed, which is, I think, the most notable thing. On the weekends, sometimes I actually wake up a little earlier, not all the time, because I'm happy for the day off, which is another thing that probably doesn't make any sense to most people, but I think it makes a lot of sense personally. Because I don't know why you'd want to sleep in on the weekend. That's the time to be awake. It's the time you'd want to be awake. Not, a lot of these ideas are very twisted and false, and I just think people are chaotic. And there is some putting some negative thoughts out there, but I just think it is what it is. Like, I'm going to call it out. People are very chaotic, and it causes issues. But yeah, I always try to be intentional with what I do. I think it's a very important trait to have. And that's definitely something to be grateful for, is that we're basically going to get to a point where I'm going to be able to do a lot of this stuff, but without the stress. That's really the idea, is that I have a lot of these positive routines, but we eliminate the stress factor. Because up until now, it's been a different approach to things. It's been a scarcity, a fear, a worry. But it doesn't need to be that way. It can just be, I just have interest in the things I'm talking about. I have an interest in living in a positive way, but there's no need to get obsessive over it or crazy about it. You know, that's just how it is. Just is what it is, you know? So there's probably still stuff for me to talk about. But I wonder and I worry because well, there we go. That's the whole cycle. Now I'm worrying about what I would talk about if I wasn't worrying. Are we seeing the problem yet? It's hard when that's kind of your whole personality, but worrying is not productive. You know, I just have to think of a way to replace the thoughts that are there with positive ones. You don't think about that, you know, and I don't know if anybody can relate to it, but at least if you're aware of what I'm saying, you can probably still figure it's and I didn't even think I've really put two and two together about it, but the amount that it drains you is crazy. Like it's actually crazy how draining it is to think in that way and to constantly have bad thoughts coming through. It's just not a good way to be. I think that's notable to point out. And I'm not really sure why I haven't been able to notice that myself, but that's just how it's been. It's just, and I tried to do this stuff when I was younger, but then I guess negative things happened and I just couldn't get back out of it or something. I'm not entirely sure. But it's interesting just how much these things end up being a part of life. How consequential they are. How many people worry. How many of us worry the amount that we do. It's interesting. You don't think about it, and I guess you don't think about how much of a waste of time it is to do it, to engage in it, but I think everybody does. This to varying degrees. I obviously some people don't. Some people, their negative emotional response is just active tantruming. You know, they don't worry about things chronically, but then when something bad happens, they're going to throw a fit, you know. So there's those kinds of people too, whereas I don't really do that. If something comes up, I don't throw a fit. Like, I'm just fine. And I guess that's just because I'm more in my head. It's not outward. I don't just like. So yeah, I guess, and that's a good thing. The world would probably be better if more people were like that, but then no, I think it would just be better. Because the only potential flaw is people would be potentially a little colder towards each other and potentially would get into issues with misassumptions and then not opening their mouth about it. But that's not even accurate, because I would open my mouth about it. It's just that other people aren't like me. That's the problem. So no, I don't. I think if everybody was similar to me, that would definitely just be a better world, and there wouldn't really be a lot of these intense outbursts. They wouldn't happen. Because people would just talk through things. And for me, I always want to talk through stuff and nobody wants to. Well, there's a negative thought. So we have to switch the programming. It's strange how much people love to communicate about things. It's weird how good people are at communicating with me. Don't you guys think that's odd? That you would go through life and basically everybody you come into contact with communicates better with you than anybody else? How are people that easy to deal with in my life? It's unbelievable. The same people who to other people may act negatively or bad, for some reason I just get this treatment that's good. People are a little more eloquent, and it seems like their ears are more open to listening around me. I get people's attention really easily. I can't. Yeah, I mean, it's odd, right? We're going to have to start to do some reprogramming, and hopefully I can catch myself and use this show as an active laboratory. But I apologize. Wait a minute. There's another one. It's really nice that these episodes have been as great as they have been. I think it's amazing that I'm still doing it, because I had originally not known if I would or not, but it's very clear that the series is here to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it's interesting just the amount of things I'm still always able to come up with. Even if I think I don't have anything to say, it just, for somehow I've always just had something to say. I've always made it work, which is nothing short of extraordinary. It's amazing that this show is what it is. And that and it does feel good to talk like that instead of my usual. It definitely makes you feel better. Interesting. So even little things like that, I've been using this show as an outlet, but it's reinforced the thoughts that I had anyway, which weren't good. So even just saying good words and having positive things to say I think a lot of these things happen naturally to people, though, and people just end up wherever they end up and don't really do anything about it. Some people more positive than others, but usually people fall on the negative. But we're trying to transmute that. We're trying to solve that. It's definitely food for thought. And it doesn't matter what the show, I think it'll be received great. Its reception is great, having the greatness. Why should I think it wouldn't be good? It's good, and it's good. But it's been Schlaw, and now it's time to buy Schlaw. So, see you, Schlaw.